what we'll be talking about is making tests in Aware. So this is, I think, is a super useful thing for you to have as a teacher, and probably one of the better kept secrets in Uplift. It's just something that, even though it's not kept secret intentionally, but I think people don't really use it to its full potential. So when I was teaching, I always felt like I had way too much stuff to do, and every time a test, quiz, whatever it is rolled around, I'd spend like 3 or 4 hours grading multiple choice tests, and that was just a huge waste of my time. Every now and then I could get someone trustworthy to help me out with grading some, but then there's all sorts of sticky things you get yourself into, like letting even responsible people see their fellow scholars' tests isn't really a good idea. And of course, we all feel like we have too much work, but using 4 hours spending to grade a multiple choice test just isn't really worth your time. And really, you can grade these multiple choice tests within a matter of seconds, and you can totally do this. It's totally feasible. And of course, we'll be talking about Aware today. So the first thing you'll need to do is just open up any of your browsers to your iShine page. And from your iShine homepage, use the helpful link to jump to Aware. Or if you just want to copy this in, you can do that as well. uplifteducation.schoolobjects.com/Edu4a webcontrols/applications.aspx. So go ahead and click Aware, and this is a view that you've probably been using through your CFA analysis or your test in hand analysis. And so this is something you probably have some familiarity with, but it's probably just using this Analyze tab or this section right here. So this, if you notice, is entirely unique to the teacher. So this is Miss Moss's account, who's allowed me to use her so graciously. And these are her sections. So she could give a test to her advisory or any 4 of the classes that she teaches. So you should have access to all sorts of classes. One thing you got to be careful of is it will also pull classes depending on how it's set up for the next semester. So make sure that you have the right one selected for the school year. And you can just double check that by comparing a roster to these groups here. So here we see we have a couple options for this individual. We can do any of the CFAs, you could print an exam, or the teacher tests. So today we're making teacher tests. We click the Tests tab. These would be the active administration, so these are tests that could be assigned. And Ms. Moss already has a ton of tests that she could assign at any time. So we just open one of these just to get an idea of the kinds of things you could be assigning. Hopefully this is one that's been built out already. So this is one that Ms. Moss has already used, and this is really cool because she not only has the correct answer in here, she also has the TEK that she's tracking based on this. Now you can use this Aware objects to make the tests themselves, like this, where you have it all written out, or you can just do an answer sheet. Either one of those are useful. I think the way that they set these tests up, I think there's a lot of white space, which could be good or bad depending on the type of test you're giving. But I always prefer just to make a key and then scan it and just use Word to make the actual questions. But of course, there's some chances where you might make a mistake or two. So it's good to do this, but I think it kind of ends up wasting some paper. So let's get into it. Let's actually make a test. So here, if you notice down at the bottom, I've already clicked the Tests tab. There's an option for me to create a new test. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And if you want to make one like Ms. Moss, where we have the questions already built in to the booklet, you could click Create a New Blank Test, or you can make a test key. To copy an existing test, this would be something that you already have created, or something that is a shared test you could steal from someone else. So we'll just do this for now. We'll just make a key, which I think is your best option. So just go ahead and name this test whatever you want. And I'll name it the Big Bad Example Test. And select the grade level. It's really important for you to select the correct grade level, because it's actually going to pull whoever you have assigned in that grade level and make answer sheets for them. Just go and click Next, and then find the class that you are making this exam for. Your number of questions. So another option for this, you can do this on quizzes. You can just, for exit tickets, I think is really useful just because you can do it so quickly, and it takes no time at all to grade it. So I'm just going to pretend like this is a very simple 3-question exit ticket, and just so I have a little bit of data, so there's not a likelihood where they could guess. I'm going to make it 5 responses each. So I'm going to click Next. And here I'm going to select the correct answers. So for example, in the first answer, I'm going to want A to be the correct answer. The second one, I'm going to use G to be the correct answer. You notice it's alternating. And the third answer, I'll want to have C. So this is the test key. I, of course, can change this at any time after I make it. But just to get it done, I'll click Next. And I'm already finished. I've already made one of these very short exit tickets. Now, of course, this took no time at all to do this. If I was going to make this on paper, print it out, it would already be at the same amount of time. So it's no additional cost in terms of time, but of course the savings in grading and analyzing this is going to really help you out. So once I'm done, I'll go ahead and click Finish. And here I have the test itself. So if I want to do some more stuff with this, I can. So for example, if I want to set a satisfactory bar of 85 or whatever my big goal is, I can do that. For advanced, I might want to change that just to make it a little more attainable. But then when I look at these questions here, it has the correct answers here, and I can start to add some more detail as well. So if I click that little pencil, I can look at my response here. If I wanted to make the actual question here, I could, but I'm just going to assign a standard. It's important for you to understand that. So you can search standards if you haven't already. If you need to change your course, you can flesh that out as well. So I'm just going to look up for something that so describe how biodiversity constrains the sustainability of an ecosystem, and that's perfect. That's the first question that I had, was about that. So I'm going to select that standard, and the reporting category for that is science 8th grade. So this is an 8th grade TEAC. Science, this is one that's above grade level. So I've selected that, and when I'm done, I'm going to click Finish. And if you notice, it changed that answer, so now it just says answer, and then it gives more information, where now I have a star, a strand from a STAR exam that's assigned to it. And I can do that for all of these questions, so maybe only one of these aligns, maybe 2 of them align, whatever the case may be, and you can move ahead from there. So once you're done with that, go ahead and click Save. And now the Big Bad Example Test has a strand in particular that I'm looking at. So I can assign that same one for each of these, that's fine as well. If it's an exit ticket, that's probably more of what you'd be looking at anyways, so just assigning that same standard over is more than okay. It just depends on what you're trying to do in the class. I hope this is the same one. So I click Finish. Maybe this one will be the odd one, so I'll have 2 that are the same and then 1 odd. Just as plan and implement something or another. Primary standard, I'll select this. And secondary standard, this smaller part. So maybe there's 2 things I'm looking at here. So this one also has a standard now assigned to it. So now all of these have standards assigned to it, so it's going to be a lot more useful for me. And also for the scholars in my classroom, because when they can refer back to these, of course, you'll want to translate it into more age-appropriate language than just these serial numbers. But this test is ready to go, so I'll just click Save. And now this test is ready for administration. I can click back in the journal area, make the adjustments that I need to, make sure the correct class is assigned. Advanced, I'll want to bubble sheet this only. I'm not going to be having them do any other testing with this. There's some other options you can play around with this. Of course, we could make a lot longer lesson about this, but I want to keep your time not too long. Okay, so now I can click back to my regular page, my analysis page, and I click Test Available. So now I can grab one of these, so I might want to give this to my first class. I'm just going to pull this off the screen, just because I think names might pop up here. Nope, not yet. So here we have the mini tests that we have, and we see the Big Bad Example Test is another one of those. And if we see this, it's got this that's ready to print here. So these are different ways I could actually administer this. You could even do, it's kind of interesting, you could do some web administrations of this as well. So you can do online testing, response pads, just plain old answer sheets, and so on. So if you have access to a lab, This would make it even faster where you don't even have to scan it, it would just click through. But that might not be useful for everyone. So I'll select the classes that I want to print. Might want to do these one at a time or do them all at the same time, doesn't matter. And then I'll click Print Answer Sheets. I'll pull this out of the way because I'm almost certain it's going to pop up with scholar names at this point. And I already have a PDF that's downloaded. So you'll notice it's a PDF. I'll click that and open it. Sorry, I had to avert your eyes really quickly there. Just want to make sure I don't show anyone's name that shouldn't be shown. Okay, so this is I'm just kind of showing the test in a funny way here because I don't want to reveal the name. So this is the Big Bad example test. It has the teacher's name, what course we're actually looking at, when the test is supposed to admin, and so on, in the period. So it already has all of these grouped together. I have 100 sheets in this document. This is kind of awkward, but here you can see I have 100 different sheets here. So this is all of my scholars in my class. And if you remember, we only had 3 things that we were testing. And here we can see that we just have 3 bubble sheets. So if you notice at the very bottom of these is where we have the actual Scantron part. Zoom out a little bit. This Scantron part is really important, so you can't half this test or do anything like that. You're welcome to try to print it half size by using your copier functions, but this is really important that you have all this printed. If you want to allow them to use this as white figuring space or note space, whatever, I think that would probably be a bad idea. It might cause some problems with the scanning function. So this is just the part where I show you how to make the exams. Refer back to that other lesson if you remember, that PDF tutorial for actually scanning these, but it's very simple to scan these as well. Scanning does not take long. If you remember, that's just a few clicks and you can use the machine that's in my room that's adjacent to me in the RTC. But I hope this was useful for you, and I hope you all have a great Wednesday. Thanks.